everyone? Lisa Haven here, and I've got another extra special guest here from Freedom Force International, and you guys are gonna love her, which I'm sure you probably already know about her already, but I adore her. And it's because of her that I got to come to this awesome conference. But Debbie Bacigalupi, did I say that right?
You did.
Awesome. I know we were having a conversation.
It means kiss the wolf.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, but we ranchers, we say, be careful what you wish for.
Oh, yes, that would not be good.
No.
But I met her earlier on, and she's got some pretty awesome credentials. She's been to the United Nations events there, and she's also an author. So Debbie, will you tell everyone just a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Well, I mean, ground zero, I'm just, an average person, a nobody who really believes that people deserve the truth. And as a cattle rancher's daughter, which I love that lifestyle because you know how much we love our land and our animals, but over time we started seeing the encroachment on not only our private property rights, the land, like what we could and could not do on our own private property. But we started going to meetings more and more locally in California about water and what they were going to do with water based on giving priority of water to fish and land to habitat. And I started putting the pieces together and just going, something is not right here. And about 2007 and 8, when I was working for Google, I started just seeing the pieces of the puzzle that doesn't look like freedom and liberty, but looks like something beyond the United States. And I started just doing massive research and stumbled upon this thing called United Nations Agenda 21.
Yes, which I've read, you've read, and you've read tons of other stuff.
Yeah.
I've been at this conference, yesterday and today, and I have to say I am. I'm gaining even more information.
Yeah.
There's always more to learn. There's always more to discover. And as it's unfolding, it's to see the way it's going. I just get so mad.
Yeah.
And there is a veil over everyone's eyes. So what could you say to people out there about what's going on right now and how important it is that we unveil what's going on with global warming and the lie of global warming?
Right. Well, I think the biggest and best thing anyone can do is educate. Just start researching. Actually, let me just go back one step. You're seeing Agenda 21 unfold everywhere. If you live in a city, you're seeing high-rises being built where mixed space, what it's called mixed-use space, and it's like shops at the bottom and then smaller living spaces above near what we call a transit-oriented district, a TOD, where eventually by the year 2030, 2050, somewhere in there, everyone will be walking, biking, and taking public transportation. So you can start to see this unfold in the way of lanes are being decreased, where sidewalks are being increased, where high-rises are being built, restrictions on vehicles, for example, vehicle mile travel taxes are coming, like to the state of California. We're seeing more and more regulation on ranches and farms. In California, we just passed a greenhouse gas, try and stop our cows from burping and farting. Sorry, that's what cows do, guys.
Yeah.
And so somehow we're not hearing about the other greenhouse gases that cause all the damage, but we're hearing about CO2, which is not a poison, by the way, guys. It's good. We need CO2.
We do.
Everything is made out of carbon, and then methane from cows and livestock. And by the way, swamps create methane. Termite ants create methane. Our oceans create methane, but you don't hear about those at all. You just hear about my livestock causing global warming.
Right.
And then
people, they want to attack the food source.
They want to attack the food source. And then the other thing is petroleum. And all three of those items, petroleum, carbon dioxide, and methane coming from livestock, all three of those products, I'm going to say livestock, CO2, and petroleum, all provide us with, like this painting, could not be possible without livestock or petroleum. the floor, the ceilings, everything comes from those products. And so if you're going to limit what people do on Earth, and this is where I'm passionate, if you're going to limit people from living a lifestyle that they want to live, you're going to start attacking those items that provide the most byproducts, which happen to be coming from those three things. And then you could also add in timber, but you don't get as many products from timber that you do, houses and stuff like that. But anyway, so I just saw the attack on our lifestyle here in the United States. I just started putting the pieces together and researching and trying to figure out, what is this all about? Who's doing this? Why would they do this to us? And Daniel Webster said, give them the means for detecting the wrong and they will apply the remedy. And I think that's what we do, you do. Every day on your videos, you're telling people, educating them. Why? So they can be empowered for their own life. I truly believe that you cannot properly plan for the future if you do not understand what's happening right now, and you don't understand what's happening. I hope I'm making sense here, but that truly is my passion, that people are told the truth so that they can properly plan for the future.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I think that's why we have to make a staunch stance against Agenda 21, against the lie of global warming, because it's really at the root. And it's at the root of why people think they're doing good, but actually it's not a good thing that they're doing when you look at the nitty gritty and you look at the veil underneath.
Right.
There's so much scum and so much dirt. Now I know, we've both read Agenda 21, and how would you sum that up in a nutshell?
Well, the book that is most interesting to me is the Global Biodiversity Assessment Report, and it's 1,140 pages long. It's thick.
You've read that one.
I've read that one. In fact, I've marked it all the way through. And when I go around, when people ask me to come talk about this topic, they're most surprised about my global biodiversity, because they can see, I've got it highlighted, I've got it marked. I've read this thing, and you know what, Lisa? When I travel, I bring that book with me, or my Agenda 21 book, so that when I'm on the airplane and I'm humming and hawing. Why am I humming and hawing when I'm reading this book? Because things like ski runs, unsustainable. Livestock, unsustainable. Anything that serves human needs, unsustainable. Roads, power lines, it says it right in the document. So if you ski, you scuba dive, you golf, all those things are considered unsustainable. Why? Because they rape and they pillage from planet Earth. And, in a dying planet based on global warming and climate change, these people who are commanding and dictating how we live our lives are using those items to say, look, we're destroying planet Earth, you've got to quit doing those activities. So when I'm reading, I'm on the plane and I'm reading through this document, I'm making noises out loud, because I want the people next to me to go, finally, like, what are you reading?
Yes.
I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? You've never seen this document before?
Yeah.
This document completely dictates how we live our lives. And I'll flip to a page and say, look, right there it says cars unsustainable, and we need to reduce the world's population down to 1 billion people based on North American living lifestyles. It says it right there. So, and then I think it piques a little bit interest. Most people just want to, the funny thing is most people don't want to get involved. Sadly. And that's, I think, where we can really start educating people on what's happening and what the impact is going to be, and find out from them, maybe it's a mom, and what's important to her children and her home. And when you start connecting the dots and putting the pieces together of, children are being taught that, that having a paper bag for lunch is bad for the environment. Because why? Because if we cut down trees for paper bags. You and I know that's not true, especially with this whole recycling thing. But they're being taught that trees provide shade, and if we don't have shade, we're going to have global warming. And children are being taught that don't trust your parents, trust the authority, or trust your teachers, because they know more than your parents. So if it's a parent, I would talk about the Common Core that's teaching all this radical green environmentalism.
Yes.
If it's someone who likes sports or being outdoors, I'll point out areas where, look, this is what it says about, golfing, for example. Why is golfing bad? Because, or golf courses bad? Because trees must be plowed down, land must be graded, and then, non-native plants and non-native grasses are brought in. And in a world where we need an ecosystem balance based on biodiversity, which is this big 1,140-page book, they see the deterioration of biodiversity, and if we do not have balance with nature, we will see catastrophic global warming where human beings will no longer exist.
And they've been preaching global cooling, global warming, climate change, because now it's just change, because the other two didn't sell so well.
Well, right, because now hurricanes can be part of climate change, and
all of it.
A sunny day today can be climate change, and 5 weeks from now in December, if it's snowing too much, that's climate change and global warming, and it's anything goes.
Yes, and it's all based on falsified information, and that's just, it's upsetting. When people actually delve into it and you get to read the actual document, it's mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing, and I encourage everyone to do it. It's been the most extraordinary education.
Yeah.
It's been extraordinary because it impacts every part of our life.
And it's like a religion. It really is. When we were in the conference, Edward, he had said, that the biggest threat right now, the species that's under the attack the most right now is the human species.
Yeah.
That's so real. And when you're reading, the big document, which I haven't read yet, I should read that. I want to read that, and I've got to look. And quoting how they only want 1 billion people.
Yeah.
That means 6 billion have to go.
That's right.
And how are they going to do that? Well, they're going to get rid of our goods. They're going to get rid of our cows, our trees. Let's make people the enemy. Kids come home with the mindset almost of, let's have the hive mentality for the greater good of the people. Mm-hmm. This is what Agenda 21 teaches.
Yeah.
And so we let's kind of almost, we'll die if it benefits the greater good. And that's not it. I mean, God made this planet big enough for all of us,
right.
And God didn't say there's not enough room. Believe this lie, but it's just so many different directions.
Right.
So what do you think the ultimate agenda is? Like, is it depopulation? Why are they doing this?
Well, it's Solomon said there's nothing new under the sun. And when we look throughout history, there's always been someone in control.
Oh yeah.
So even prior, that's the reason we're here in the United States, because we fled, somebody telling us what to do every single day, in Britain and United Kingdom and British rule. And so we wanted freedom and we wanted liberty. But there are people who think, and you've had great interviews with Patrick, and technocrats want to control absolutely everything. It's, for some, they're not all bad. When I was at the Paris conference a year ago, that was during the Paris Agreement, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. This is where all the nations came together and they signed the Paris Agreement. What was the Paris Agreement? To maintain the world's temperature as a global society within 1.5 degrees Celsius. So here in the United States, that's like 3.5 degrees, 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit. So as a global society, we have to figure out how our activities must be limited in order to not cause more climate change, disturbance with biodiversity, and global warming. And I was interviewing Dr. Istvan Marco. He's a scientist from Belgium. He was supposed to be here at this conference, but he'll probably go to the Red Pill Expo in June, which everyone's invited. It's going to be a great conference.
Yeah.
It's similar to this one. But what Dr. Istvan Marco was talking to me about, and since I'm a cattle rancher's daughter, he was telling me that there are technocrats right now in the EU figuring out how much protein you and I should be eating in a day. And he mentioned, I said, well, a serving is 3 ounces. And he said, oh no, it's less than 3 ounces of serving per day. And they're also looking at how insect flour would replace protein.
Oh.
So these technocrats, some of them, like I would say my dad, dad, is a little bit of he's a civil engineer, he's also a cattle rancher, but he truly thinks that he knows what's best for people. And I'm like, Dad, no, you don't know what's best for me. But there are people like that who say, this is the way things should go. And those people like to be in control. Some of them have good intentions. But then there are people like Al Gore and Maurice Strong and George Soros and I would say I'd throw Hillary Clinton in there.
Oh, yes.
Who, when you look at their behavior, it's not about saving planet Earth. Because do you see them reducing their lifestyle? Do you see them reducing their consumptive behaviors? Do you see them selling off their mansions and not flying first class or private jets around the world? So as soon as we see Leonardo DiCaprio start walking the talk, I think then we know we have a problem. But as long as Hollywood and Al Gore are, treating planet Earth as their fun playground while they tell you cannot do this, you cannot do that, until they start walking the talk, I think we have nothing to fear. But these dictators, these technocrats, they're the only things that we have to fear.
Now, can you explain a technocrat for those who may not know?
Sure. A technocrat is someone who's a professional, usually a scientist of some sort, like my dad would be. I consider him civil engineer. Someone with a expert background in a technical field, if you will, and they like to plan. They are scientific in a way. They believe that life should be organized and systemized, controlled, and that if we all lived in their systematic control, that everyone on planet Earth would live a decent lifestyle, not an extraordinary lifestyle, but serve our basic needs, which is their mantra.
Which would be
Right.
poor class,
Right.
rich class, which is what it always turns out to be.
Right.
So basically we have a system in which the upper ranks, we know, are pushing the agenda of rich class, poor class, so
Right.
to speak, because that's where we're headed. When they take away our lumber, when they take away
Yes.
our cows, these are vital things that we need. But then they supplement with, like you said, insects,
Right.
and down our meat size
Right.
to unbearable levels that make us sick. That's what it will
Sure.
do. We need levels of certain
Right.
minerals and things in our body. So let's make them weak. Let's make them poor. Let's make them controllable. And by golly, they want the population down.
They do.
That's a
And they
fact.
even state it in the documents. And you hear,
Yes.
we always hear all
Yes.
the time, the earth is overpopulated. And when I have
Right.
people say this, I love when people say that, because you know what I say? Well, you know what? Lead the way. Show us how it's done. If you truly believe the earth is overpopulated, then show us how to get off. You go first. They don't,
No.
because it's not overpopulated. But I often ask pilots, I love talking to pilots, because they get to see from a bird's eye view what's going on down there. And I think that somebody should do a documentary with pilots that have been flying for a long time, because not only do they see how much land has not been developed, they'll tell you, you know what, you can fly from California to New York and not see lights hardly ever.
Yes.
Because it's just massive green, but they've got that perspective, right? So, which correlates with the population. So when I was at the Rio Earth Summit, Rio Plus 20, one of the, Google was there, my former boss, and they had this, Google does everything like high end, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so they had this great area where they were showing Google Maps and how Google Maps would be used in the future. Part of it, you'll find this interesting. One of the presentations that they were a part of was something like 60 billion new surveillance type mechanism. So audio, like in your street lights, or
Yes.
video cameras on every corner, and all of that is about data collection. One of the fascinating videos that they were showing is on Google Maps, and their goal, well, we already know that Google is, it means infinity, right? So Google means infinity, the number. It's everything. And then they now have a new company called Alphabet. So all numbers and everything from A to Z is like how I like to describe Google. And Google's goal has always been to map everything, including your home. So everything. You can sit at your home with your computer, use Google Earth to fly in, right? Well, what the one of the presentations that we saw, which was so fascinating, was how Google Maps would be used so that they can just go into like the Amazon. So fly into the Amazon and you could actually see what trees, how many, what kind of trees. And they said to us, if a tree gets cut down, we'll be able to see it. So imagine when you get to a system built by technocrats, if you will, and the United Nations, where they monitor, control, and surveil. This is one of the chapters in the Global Biodiversity Assessment, is to monitor, control, and surveil all things on Earth. Using Google, using GIS, using a company called Ceres, all these different mechanisms to monitor, control, and surveil. That if, let's say, cutting down a tree without a permit is illegal. Well, if they can zoom in and calculate and have taken inventory of what tree was there and it's now gone, is that where we're heading? But we already know that Google Maps is being used. This is what one of the presentations that was given at Google while I was at Google. They're using women in third world countries to go through Google Maps and see if where pools are with homes, and then to see if the homeowner is being taxed on that pool. So, but if you're going to control everything, you're going to control everything. And so anyway, these conferences are fascinating because you find out so much that you'll never hear, from anybody other than someone like you or but
you
anyway.
guys. Yeah. So, God, make sure you guys are informing everyone about what is going on with this agenda, because it's here we learn about it, and we can learn about it in various ways, but it's in the school system.
In the school system.
It's everywhere, and and they're really brainwashing our children, and we have to stand against that.
Yeah. I'd say look up Obama's 2030 agenda. You'll see the White House did a full press release, and it actually goes into some of the details of the United Nations 2030 agenda. And they even say no one will be left behind.
And they mean it.
They mean it.
They mean it.
So hopefully, we've got a new administration, but really it's going to come down to the masses of people getting having that passion that I think we do in a certain area. It could be anything. Your passion could be education. Your passion could be the healthcare system, because they're doing data collection on that.
Yes.
Your passion could be, like mine is, the great outdoors and being a cattle rancher. All the endangered species that we now have to watch out for as good stewards of the land. But whatever your passion is, expand it, get educated about this, because it's not going away. Changing the administration does not change 30, 40 years of policies that are being implemented locally in your general plans, in your smart growth plans, in your sustainable community plans. Those are probably already entrenched in your local area. And just because we have a new president doesn't mean things that are happening locally all of a sudden disappear. Because they don't until we get involved.
Absolutely.
And start undoing those things that have our future literally enslaved.
Absolutely. So you guys are the force out there, and you have to take a stand in your schools and everything. This is an information battle that we need to fight together, and we need to stand against politically, at the ballot box, at our schools, and all of it. So with that, Debbie, do you have any website information and also any books that you author? I'm going to leave all the information below for you YouTubers, but will you share that?
Sure.
So they have it.
Sure. You can go to technocracy.news, and you can go in the About page, and you can find my bio and get in touch with either Patrick or me there. And we'd love to hear from you. I do speak all over. I don't charge, that's the whole cool thing. We don't charge for this stuff. Just cover our gas and, and put us up in
Yep.
a, you know,
Same
room.
here. Yes.
But I think that's the way it was supposed to be done.
Yep.
Because you know what?
I'm the
Here's
same.
I recently, sorry to go on and on, but I recently got so inspired by this, which is when you are paid. So if this went to a paying gig, I'm telling you, my sincerity might change.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So is it for a paycheck, or is it because I truly believe that everyone out there deserves the truth? And that's what
what's
drives
more
me.
important. Yep.
Is that, you know, I've seen just this atrocious agenda that, you know, and I'm not a mom, I didn't have children, but I'm telling you, this battle has the mama bear come out. Like,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
messing with my people now, is how I feel. And when you mess with them, you're now messing with me. And I mean, I don't mean to come off like a...
No, that's good.
But
Because that's the mentality God gave you and God gave us. Because that's what we do. It's America is our people.
Yeah.
You guys, all of us, we're together. And we have to work together. So
Yeah.
I'm with
So
you.
technocracy.news. I'd love to come to your area. I'll bring all my books, some of the books we just talked about. I'll do a little bit of research in your area and how your area is seriously infiltrated, because I guarantee anywhere we go in the United States, you know this,
I do.
has been infiltrated by this agenda that has been going on for a long, long time. And the only way to start unfolding and stopping these things is that people really get in, get educated, understand. You know, it's like, go look at a FedEx truck. I use this in my presentation, right? And on a FedEx truck, you're gonna see an arrow. See if you can find that arrow. And once you find that arrow, you can never unsee it. Same thing with this information. Same thing with Agenda 21 and the new urban agenda and the 2030 agenda. As soon as you start reading the documents, kind of understanding a little bit what they're talking about, you will start seeing it everywhere. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. But then you are responsible for what? Educating the people around you and getting them involved, because, you know, we really do need everyone.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for
You're
coming on my
welcome.
show. I'm so excited.
Thank you
she's
for
an awesome girl.
coming. So excited.
So thanks again.
You're
and,
welcome.
thank you guys out there. You guys are a blessing. And thanks again for tuning in to Lisa Haven and Debbie
Bachagalupi.
Bachagalupi.
Means
You
kiss
see
the
how
Lord.
See you guys. Bye.
Are you and your family spiritually and physically armed for the battle ahead? Announcing Hear the Watchman Dallas Conference, March 31st through April 2nd, 2017. Join L.A. Marzulli, Pastor Paul Begley, Anthony Patch, Michael Boldia, Josh Peck, and from Skywatch TV, Derek and Sharon Gilbert. Hear the Watchman returns to Dallas for a transformative weekend of unfolding prophetic events, revival worship, and restoration. Learn to put on the full armor of God in the natural and supernatural. The clock is ticking and this super exciting event will soon be sold out. Come join the remnant body of Christ at the Hilton Lakes Conference Center for a powerful weekend that will open your heart and change your life. Discounted tickets are now on sale for a very limited time. Visit HearTheWatchman.com or click on the link provided by your favorite speaker to reserve your seats today for Hear the Watchman Dallas 2017.